Right, okay, so I am going to do another video following up from the top 5 EQ video, and this time I'm going to do my top 10 all-time favourite compressors of all time. Right, so compressors, right? The EQ one was really easy for me, but compressors is honestly, I had about a list of 20 and trying to take those down to a list of 10 just shows you how much I use compression. And it's in no particular order because I don't think I have a favourite compressor, but these are compressors I use in every single mix. By the way, if you guys want to have any context of what these sound like, I'll put certain links in the description down below, videos I've already done previously showcasing these compressors, and again I've got live mix sessions as well, and you guys can see that as well. Okay. Number 10, let's go with the Magnum K. Okay, so Mag, who again everybody knows Mag for the Mag EQ and that famous airband. Now the Magnum K, in my opinion, is a dirty little secret. Okay, now I'm not going to hide what I do, okay, because you can see it on my session breakdown of my first single, Serval Pedal, which is out now. Just go out and listen to it. Okay. What's so good about the Magnum K is the fact that it incorporates the Mag EQ, i.e. incorporates the airband, and you can get that sub as well. So I use the Magnum K as a parallel mix comp off my mix bus. If you're looking for energy in a track that you've mixed it perfectly, you're like, yeah, can I get any more out of this? Magnum K in parallel, airband, a little bit of sub, bring up that fader, pan them kind of 3/4, don't have them too wide, and honestly, you would just listen to that session breakdown and you'll hear what it's like. Another plugin that I use, so on my main mix bus, I always use the Townhouse Compressor. Now the Townhouse Compressor is the SSL bus comp, okay? Now a lot of people use the SSL bus comp. It is one of the most revered bus compressors of all time. Now the Townhouse is a dirty little secret, another dirty little secret, but one that's more widely known. A lot of big mixing engineers use the Townhouse compressor, a lot more than you think. It just kind of glues the track together, but in a kind of harmonic way, and you get this nice little bit of saturation. It's a little bit colourful, and you kind of hear the transients coming out as well. It just makes everything a little bit punchy. So it's gluing it, adding a little bit more punch, and it's got this nice sheen over it, and it kind of just makes it sound like a record. If you guys are looking for an SSL bus compressor, Townhouse is the one. So what's the other plugin that I use on a mix bus? And I also use this for my vocal bus as well. It's one of my favourite plugins of all time. I would probably say if I had to pick one compressor, it would maybe be the top. I don't know. But the Fairchild has to be one of my favourite. Now the Fairchild is commonly known as used in Abbey Road. It was used on all the Beatles recordings, Lennon's vocals and stuff like that. But especially listen to the bass on Beatles records. They all ran through a Fairchild, and it was their main compressor of choice. I'm pretty sure is there only 5? I think there's maybe only 5 left in extinction today that still work. Now JGP, Mr. Puig, he has a Puig child that Waves do. Suggest you take that out. That's what I use. There's a lot of different Fairchilds on the market. I am away to do a Fairchild comparison with my favourite Puig child versus the Ultramarine from Acoustica Audio. So when that's done, there will be a link up there and you guys can check that out, okay? But what I love about the Fairchild is it just adds this roundness, and it's just like this really warm hug, and it just makes everything thicker and just a little bit rounder. Like what I do with the Magnum K, I have it in parallel to my mix bus, and it just ride it up, and it just adds this warmth and this kind of low end. It's not really a harsh compressor, it just makes everything sound better. It's a colour box. For bass, it just makes it a little bit more warm and round, and it's just amazing. For vocals, again, that warmth, that character. You know what? Just listen to it. Just try. If you've never tried out a Fairchild, try out the Puig Child, try out the Acoustica Ultramarine, and UA do one as well, and there's IK Multimedia do one as well, and you've got the Verimue from Slate Digital. Whatever you're on, try out a Fairchild. If you've never tried out a Fairchild before, try it on vocals, try it on mix bus. You will just hear something. Even if you're not even like compressing, even just to pass it through the circuit, it's just amazing. It is colour box number one. Now, if you were to kind of talk about drums, okay, so like what would you say was your favourite drum compressor? Normally, mostly how I use compressors is normally on kind of transient, involved instruments, okay, so snare drums, kick drums, drums. So distressor has to be one of my favourites. The distressor is basically punch in a box, right? On bass, my god, the analog distortion that you can get out of it, and it's got an opto mode as well. If you hit it really hard, it just brings in this nice colourful saturation on bass. It just brings everything out. You get this nice analog hit and this nice really low mid punch that you can get like from stuff like the Acoustical Water. There's only a couple on the market that are very good. I personally like the Slate FG Stress. That's what I use. I use that on snare. And I use it on bass sometimes as well. You can use it on vocals. It is just, for punch, one of the best compressors of all time. And again, the analog distortion that's in there as well, it's just full of harmonics and just makes everything sound better. Punchier and colourful, that is a distressor. Now, continuing on with drums, then I'm going to mention a compressor. I've already done a video, I'll see if I can leave a link to it. It's the MJUC from Clanelm, okay? This is like only like 25, 26 quid, okay? It does 3 different compressors. I'm pretty sure it's like a URI, it's a 176, not an 1176, it's like one of the early versions. It does a Fairchild as well, and it's the third one's like this, their own kind of variation. This thing is crazy, guys, right? Absolutely unbelievable. I was using the API 2500 that I've not included in this, and a lot of people will be like, how could you not include the 2500? I've included the MJUC instead. The MJUC is one of these plugins, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, but see on a drum bus, it just brings out the kick, it's a punch machine, okay? That's what I always liked about the 2500. See, the distressor is a punch machine, but it's kind of more saturated. I don't think it adds much warmth, where the 2500 from API I always felt like had this nice warmth to it. It's still punchy, and I think on the kick I always loved the punch that you got a kick on a drum bus, where the MJUC does everything. If I feel like when you're using MJUC on a drum bus, everything comes to life. The highs come to life, you can hear the snare, and you've got that nice bit of saturation on the kick that just thumps and pumps away. A lot of people use it on mix bus. I've not actually really tried it against the Fairchild. I might include it in the Acoustica video, never think about it. But MJUC, just for the price alone, right, just for the price alone, it is a Swiss Army knife. I suggest that you use it, and I'll guarantee the MJUC, you will find a use for it in some way using the 3 presets. MJUC. Now, let's think about more kind of vocals, okay? So, on vocals, I've got 2 compressors that I love. Now, everybody is going to go crazy at me, right? Because I've not got an 1176 on an LA2A in this, right? And you're going to go, how could you not have an 1176? The reason is because I don't use them. I use other plugins. I'm not going to go into the whole 1176 LA2A trick because you probably all know it and there's tons of videos on it. But what do I do in comparison? So my 1176 and LA2A. So for my 1176, it's the U73B. Why do I love the U73B? Is because for vocals, and actually for anything, it is basically in my opinion, if I say what is the most colourful compressor, I'd say it's either going to be a Fairchild or a U73B. Dave Pensado, I'm pretty sure, uses that, or used to use it, or just loves it. The U73B for vocals, it does that 11:6 thing, but what it does is it brings the vocal more to your attention, a bit more up front, and this warmth and saturation, it's just so colourful. If you're looking for a clean compressor, maybe kind of 1176 can be like, again, quite rich, but you can get something like, again, a lot of the times you find that the black 1176s, they could be a little bit more cleaner. The U73B is just full of colour, it's rich. That's what I would say. It's a very rich compressor, and it's very kind of, there's a lot of saturation going on, there's a lot of harmonics going on. It catches those consonants and those close-ups really quick, like an 1176, but it's just colourful and more up front. U73B, try that out. Only one I know you can get from is Slate. Slate do it. And again, it's one of the only reasons, the Distressor and the U73B are probably the 2 only reasons that I still have a Slate subscription bundle, was because I cannot get past them. U73B, superb. Right, so I don't use an LA2A, so what do I use? I use a Arturia STA level. If you're looking for a compressor that smooths everything out, that's kind of really what an LA2A and optical compressors, a lot of people kind of use them for. If I hadn't have found the STA level, this probably would have had the Opticom XLA3A from Plug-in Alliance. That probably would have been in there because I was using that, and then I switched over to the Arturia STA level. The STA level is one of the most iconic optical compressors of all time. A lot of the big guys use it. I'm pretty sure CLA has one. Why do I love this compressor so much, and why did I just go, right, as soon as I heard that I needed to have it, and luckily it was in a sale, I picked it up for like 40 quid. The reason I had to have it is because it levels everything out and smooths everything that it touches in a way where I could hear it. It's like a bass, and you want to like a slow and warm bass. Vocals, you really want to smooth everything out but compress it at the same time. You just dial that input, and again it's like works like an LA2A as well, but again it's like input output, and you just tweak, and to me, when the more it compresses, the more it's smoothing out, and it's just beautiful on strings. You can use it on bass, but vocals, instead of using it as an LA2A, I use the STA level, and it is a smoother. That's what that plugin is all about. Lots of character as well, and it's really good on bass as well, because it's got this little bit of a bass boost as well, which I think really complements the U73B. So I use it on acoustic guitars, I use it on vocals, and I use it on strings as well. So on strings I'm either going for a Fairchild or a STA level, but the STA level normally is what I like. Again, as you can see, I go for harmonically rich compressors. I adore the Arturia STA level, and it's still one of the purchases that I'm glad that I made. It doesn't work on everything, but it is just for smoothing things out. Chef kiss. And the last one, right? So again, this is kind of just all off kind of like the top of my head. I kind of had a list, and it's like I've not got it in front of me, so I'm trying to remember everything. But I'd say the last compressor of my top 10 all-time favourite compressors of all time would have to be the Elysia mpressor. The mpressor, this is a trick I learned from Dave Pensado. If you are looking to, again, there's a setting called Beefcake Joe. It's worth the admission alone. To me, the mpressor is just this low-end beast. I use it for low end. I don't use it for anything else. And it's just got this natural kind of bass bump. And again, you can use it in kick, you can use it in bass, and it's very harmonically rich. It adds quite a lot of saturation indeed, which is again is why I love it. I love stuff that's rich. So it's very rich, and again, it's not very clean at all. A lot of people will go, I can't believe you didn't put a DBX in this. I do like DBXs, and if I didn't like the mpressor as much as I do, I probably would have a DBX 160 in there. DBXs are superb for low end, and it kind of gives you this knock. But ever since I found the mpressor, the low end is just there. It's just really saturated, and it comes out the speakers more for me. I think the DBX is a little bit more subtle in terms of the bass boost that it gives you coming out of, say, like laptop speakers. With the mpressor, just boof, it comes out. Watch Dave Pensado's videos on it. It's really amazing. And I should probably use it more than I do. I do use it on every mix. Normally, I've always got it on bass, but I should probably start using it on kick a little bit more. So there you go. There is, I think it's 10. I wasn't doing a rundown, I was just kind of going from the top of my head. So there is my top 10 compressors. Again, if there are any videos that I have done utilising these compressors, which there probably are, you would have noticed they were linked somewhere, and they're all down in the description below, like my EQ. So check out the EQ video as well. And again, next time I'm going to do my favourite saturators. Saturation, I love saturation. Who doesn't love saturation? If you don't like saturation, then you don't call yourself a good mixing engineer, because saturation is the key. Okay, so next video will be my top 5 saturators of all time. So hopefully you've liked this video. My name is Paul Third. Check out my first debut single, Settle Petal. It is out now. Links in description. And yes, like, subscribe, and I will see you again soon. And as well, before you go, comment down below your favourite compressors of all time as well, and we can start a little dialogue there, because I love to read your comments, and I always reply back to every comment. You will notice in all my videos. So like, subscribe, comment, and let's start a wee chat, okay?